everyone. Today we will be deciphering the topic performance management. It is performance management that we are talking about. According to Armstrong and Barron in the year 1998, stated that performance management is both strategic and an integrated approach to delivering successful result in organization. How? By improving the performance and capabilities of all the team members or of all the employees. The term performance management immensely gained popularity in early 80s when total quality management was given of the highest importance. Performance management definition: a process that significantly improvises the success of the organization by having the we feeling among the team members and the employee, wherein they are stated clearly about what was expected out of them, what was the delivered result, and the reward assigned together. Performance management is a means of getting better result, in short. Now, how do we get it? By understanding and managing the performance on an pre-agreed framework of planned goals, standards, and competence requirements. Performance management is often a shared understanding among the team members as to what is to be achieved, how will it be managed if things go wrong, and what are the timelines assigned to it. The goal of measuring performance is to improve effectiveness and definitely efficiency, with the only aim of having the organization goals and the workers' behavior aligned. It is an integrative process. Performance management is the function of ability, motivation, and opportunity. So, what exactly is ability? It is the skills that is possessed by the team members, by the employees, and these skills needs to be enhanced so as to achieve the overall goal of the organization and definitely of the individual. Motivation: activities in HRM concerned with helping employees to improvise and exert higher energy level so that the desired performance is met. Opportunities: circumstances under which performances is made a ideal situation or the other way around. So three basic determinants of job, what are they? There are willingness, capacity, and opportunity. See, we always have a will issue and a skill issue. Either I'm not adequately skilled, so my performance will dip, or I am not willing enough to put in my skills into use. Again, the performance will be dip. So, what is the three requirement? It is willingness to perform, capacity to perform, and opportunity to perform. So, will, skill, and if you can give a platform, opportunity, probably the employees are going to exert themselves and the organization is going to excel in due courses of time. So these are three things that needs to be done: will, skill, and opportunities. Please remember this, which I am stressing you again. And so indicators of job performance, what are they? Researcher sees basically tasks which such as control, innovation, efficiency. Now what is control? Control is something, everything within our internal environment I can understand. It can be manipulated and done for it. But if we can dominate the external environment, attract resources, use political process, and probably achieve the desired result. Innovation entails developing skills to discover new products and processes and design adaptable structures within the cultures. So efficiency involves developing modern plants for rapid, low-cost production, fast distribution, and definitely productivity. The external resource approach. Now we'll like to decipher everything one by one. So we will do first thing the external approach, and then we'll get into the internal approach. So if we can control the external diversity, everything becomes a cakewalk for the organization. So how do we do it? Managers needs to evaluate the firm's ability to manipulate the external environment towards its benefit. So Indicators include stock price, profitability, ROIs or return on investment, and the quality of the company's product. It need not be only product, it can be company service. The company can be into a service industry altogether. So n numbers of time, and every time the quality of the product and the services are identical and same. There are no deterioration and there are no variances. If you can do this, I believe the reputation of the company in the external environment is only going to soar high. So an important factor is management ability to perceive and respond to the environmental change. Let us come back to the internal system approach. That is all about innovation. It is within the organization, it is within the individual. How can we innovate? So internal approaches, managers evaluate the organizational effectiveness. Now only organizational effectiveness can be restructured or probably tweaked a little bit here and there with the help of cultures that fosters flexibility and rapid response to the changes in the market. Being flexible is all about being innovation. Innovation is measured by the time needed for decision making and rapid production and coordinating activities. If we can do this thing, nothing. Let us come to the technical approach now. We are talking about input is to output. If the output is more and the input is less, efficiency is of the upteenth level. The technical approach is used to evaluate efficiency. Effectiveness is measured by productivity, and efficiency in the ratio of output to input, which I've already stated to you. The input has to be less and the output has to be more. So if we have n numbers of raw materials, from instead of having those utilizing all the raw materials and shaping up of only one finished product, vis-a-vis two, three, four or multiple finished product, which will be more efficient. I'm sure all of you will agree that having the same number of raw materials and coming up with different finished product would be improved efficiency. In short, we are reducing wastages. Productivity gains include increased production or cost reduction. Did I say about wastages? Definitely yes. The more we reduce the waste, the more the cost is being reduced, and more product we manufacture, probably the SKUs is going to diversify and it is going to align with the taste of the end customers. So we come to measuring effectiveness, organizational goals. Organizational effectiveness is evaluated by both officials and operative goals. Now, what our official goals are? It is basically stated clearly in black and white by the organization, whereas operative goals are long-term and short-term that direct the task. Now, basically, operational goals are on a day-to-day activities. Things might change. Probably one of the raw materials might be in shortages. Or probably one of your machinery would have undergone some breakdown or maintenance activities. So how do you manage the workflow? How do you manage the HR activities or employees? So managers use operative goals to measure effectiveness. To measure control, managers examine market shares and cost. To measure innovation, they review decision-making time. To measure efficiency, they use benchmarking to compare with companies of the competitors. A company may be effective in one arena and probably ineffective in another. So we need to continuously balance the activities and make all my areas to be as competitive or as effective as each one of them is all about it. So exactly, why do we measure performance? The question often haunts us, why? If everything is going good, why? Because everything can be improved upon. Enhance motivation and productivity. Performance is measured because it enhances productivity. It enhances motivation. It tells me what I can do today in a good fashion. We can better it day after tomorrow in a much streamlined fashion and a much cost effective fashion. Assist in validation studies. It detects problem. It helps evaluating change efforts. Now, this is what the change efforts are all about. It. If there are wastages, if there are pilferages, if we are talking around it and taking care of those pilferages and wastages and probably utilizing it, manipulating it and introducing it into a finished product or diversifying to a different product altogether, don't you think it helps in innovations? helps in differentiating job related areas. Probably we should always, at times what happens is in the search of productivity, in the search of profitability, we might get compromised at certain point of time. Remember, performance is measured not only for improving productivity and profitability, but also to align the organizational activities within the legal framework of the country. So, performance appraisal. Please don't get confused by performance management and performance appraisal. Two different systems altogether. Appraisal is a system of review and evaluation of an individual or a team performance. An effective system assesses accomplishment and evolves plan for development. Performance management, on the other hand, is a process that significantly affects organizational success. Remember, it's about organizational success. How? By having managers and employees work together to set expectation, review result, reward performances. So these are the two things which needs to be taken care of. It is a goal. Its goal is to provide an accurate picture of the past and definitely plan for the future. To achieve this thing, we set up benchmarks, we set up performance standard, we set up standard of procedures. So performance appraisal, many of the external and internal environment factors previously discussed can influence the appraisal process. What are they? One is legislation. Definitely, legislation can make things very transparent, very streamlined. Then there's the other thing called labor union, who might actually stress that seniority should be stressed upon giving on the basis of giving promotion or awarding rewards. It is not probably efficiency or capability or capacity of an individual, but more on the time or the duration that an employee spent within the organization. Is this right? Is this wrong? You need to tell me. So what are the internal environment? Now, this is something which we were talking around it, which can affect the performance appraisal. So at the end of the appraisal process, the appraiser observes work performance and evaluates it against established performance standard. The performance measures are then communicated to the workers. The performance evaluation discusses with the supervisors, serves to re-establish job performances. We come to the various steps in the performance appraisal process. Now, what are they? Essentially, I am giving you the framework of 5 steps only. Number 1, establish a goal. And once you have established a goal, you start breaking down into fragments of the job which needs to be completed, or popularly known as job analysis. Now you have to examine the work performed, actually how the incumbent or the employee is performing on the job, and then you compare his performance, the actual performance, with the standard established, and then discuss appraisal with the employee. So there are 5 steps. First, establish performance goals. Establish, second, job expectation or job analysis. Third, examine the work performed. Fourth, appraise performance, or should I say compare with actuals and standard. Fifth, and the last would be to discuss appraisal with the employees. Use of performance appraisal. Performance appraisal usually have 2 objectives. One, to make evaluation decision as to what is going good and what can be improved, and to provide the required feedback for training and development if there are any differences between an actual and expected performances. If there is a gap, let us try to address it with either improving the training or imparting development or motivating or incentivizing the employees to come to a conclusion that there should not be any gap between actual and the expected. For many organizations, the primary goal of an appraisal system is to improve performances. A system that is properly designed and communicated can help achieve organizational objectives and enhance employee performance. In fact, performance appraisal data are potentially valuable to a number of functional areas of human resources, a number of human resource functions. Please remember, performance appraisals is the backbone of the employee's career and definitely how the organization development activities or future activities are being fabricated upon. So what are the human resource planning? Let us come and address them one by one. So in assessing a firm's employees, data will be available that describe the performance and potential of all employees, especially The key executive. Now, why key executive? Because key executives are manning those positions which require vital decision. These decisions actually impacts the profitability of company. Next, the basic thing would be recruitment and selection. Performance evaluation rating might be helping in assessing future performance of the job applicant as to what kind of applicant or what kind of employee we are looking up in future based on the past data. That is where the recruitment and selection plays a vital role. Then comes the training and development. Did I say if there is any gap between actuals and standards? Actual performance and the standards performance expected or the benchmark performance expected, if there are gap, this gap needs to be only addressed with the help of T&D or training and development by identified deficiency that adversely affect the performances. So this needs to be catered to. We come to career planning and development. Career planning and development may be viewed from either an individual or from an organization viewpoint. The way you want to look at it, everybody has their own goals. The organization has its own goals. Let's say what the organization sees itself in 5, 10 years time. Similarly, an individual will also be planning for his individual goals of 5, 10 years time, probably his career goals, probably his personal goals, and is there a perfect fit between the organizational goals and the individual goals or not. Then comes the compensation program, performance appraisal. The direct impact is to provide basically what kind of incumbent, what kind of position, and what kind of employee should be awarded how much of the pay or the salary, the incentives or the wages thereby. Internal employee relation, very true, absolutely. Performance appraisal data used for decision in areas of internal employee relation. What are they? Like motivation, promotion, demotion, termination, layoff, and transfer. So we have both the carrot and stick approach out here. So carrot approach where the things have to be motivated, promoted. The stick approach might be demotion, termination, layoff, and the neutral approach would be transfer probably. Next is the assessment of employee potential. Some organization attempt to assess employee potential as they appraise job performance. So basically we are reassessing how an individual can be improved upon. What to evaluate? Very true. These are the things that needs to be answered time and again. There are 3 or 4 things that plays a vital role. Number 1 is traits. What are traits? Traits are your habits, your attitude, your appearances, your initiative, your reluctance. Whatever you display is your trait, and employees are evaluated on basis of these. Then comes the behavior. What based upon the trait, whatever you exemplify in an outwardly motion within the society or the team or the organization, it is the individual task needs to be evaluated on with the related to the person task related behaviors. So this is for only high end profile jobs, definitely yes, but behaviors is a mandatory requirement. What to evaluate? Traits, behavior. Then comes, if you're applying yourself onto a job, what is the outcome or task outcome? How do you perform? Do you come emerge victorious after every tumultuous job scenario? Probably yes, probably no. So task outcome plays a very important factor to be evaluated. Last but not the least is the potential of the employee. Now, if the potential has been fully realized or not, the question that needs to be answered. If in most cases individuals are deterred to achieve their actual potential, why? Because of their lack of confidence or indifference or inferences that they cannot excel in the job. Now this potential needs to be improved. The employee needs to be instilled with motivation and right knowledge as to what is being expected of them. So some attention has to be given to the future, and the behavior and the outcomes are needed. Why? Because this will only make the organization as strong as possible. Performance appraisal method. I will just, please remember, I will just go through them one by one, touch every point of them so that you have a brief idea about what exactly it is all about. We have the 360-degree feedback. Involves input from everywhere. Your superiors, your peers, your juniors, your subordinates. your feedback from the other department which are nowhere related to you, your feedback from the vendors, how you handle the vendors. Mind you, the vendors are not owning up or getting any salaries from your organization, so they are external party. Your feedback might also come from the customers that you handle. So it's a 360-degree feedback that we are talking about. Then comes the rating scale. Now, what are the rating scale? It can be on two scales. One is the personal characteristics, and the other would be a job related characteristic. So employees are rated on either of the two, and mostly both of the two. One, job related; second, personal characteristic. Then we have the critical incident method. Basically, at times there might be incidences, and these incidences happens once in a blue moon. Incidences can be of having a happy note ending or a bad note ending. Either of the ending, you have to keep a tab and write exactly what has happened and how your employees have reacted under those particular situations. Then there is something called essay. Here, the essay writing is where the employees briefly write exactly what is going through their mind regarding their performance. This method tends to focus on extreme behavior of an employee rather than on a daily basis how he or she is conducting himself or herself. Then comes work standard. Compare each employee performance to a predetermined standard or expected level of output. So we have the benchmark and we have the actual performances. Are the employee or the incumbent excelling the benchmark, or they are just able to touch the benchmark, or they are far below the benchmark? These needs to be compared again. We have the ranking method. The ranking method is very simple. You actually place all the employees of a particular department, of a particular team, one by one, and force rank them as to rank first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and so on and so forth. Now, why do we rank it out? That it eliminates the factor that anybody is who is actually the superior and who is actually an inferior performer. So Rater simply places all employees in a group in a rank order on the basis of their overall performances. Paired comparison is a variation of ranking methods. Believe me so. We come into the force distribution. An appraiser approach where the rater is required to assign individuals in a work group to a limited number of categories similar to a normal frequency. Now, what is force distribution? Wherein we are forced, the rater actually forces that 5% or 10% are high performer and 5% and 10 performers are low performer. And in between 30%, or should I say another 30% or 40%, somewhat average or somewhat better or somewhat weaker. So we are distributing, we are making categorically stating that there has to be a 10% who has to be top performer, 10% who has to be a bottom performer, and then in between the curve, the normal bell curve, that everybody has to be assigned around it. So actually the rating is forced around it. First choice and weighted checklist performance. Now, this is something which has been imparted of late, but probably has its own pitfalls and advantages. The first choice performance report is a technique in which appraiser is given a series of statements about an individual, and the rater indicates which item are most or probably the least descriptive of the employee. So what I am good at and what I am yet to improve upon. The weighted checklist performance report is thereby the rater completes a form similar to forced choice report performance, but various response have different weightage. Now, what is the response weightage? Now, I might be good at something, and the weightage or the outcome of the weightage of that particular activity for the organization purpose might be of high importance or low importance. If it is high importance, I will categorize it multiplied by 1. If it is of low importance, I will categorize it multiplied by 0.01. So if the activities which I'm good at it, if it is very important for the organization, it will impart a higher weightage, because 10 out of 10, if the parameter is 10 into 10 out of 10 into 1 will be 10 points. But if the proficiency of the activity which I am good at, but it doesn't make a very good impact for the organizational goal, it might be weighted at 0.1. So I am good at 10 out of 10 into multiplied by 0.1. So that means I will be given a weightage score of only 1 vis-a-vis the previous score of 10, complete 10. So weightage average score has to vary from 0 to 1, 0 being the least and 1 being the top best performance. Behavioral anchored rating scale, a performance appraisal method that combines the elements of traditional rating and critical incident method. Did I say in a particular incident how does the employee behave and how did the employee manage the situation altogether? And last but not the least would be the result based system, where the superior and subordinate exactly discusses what is been expected, what was being judged, and how it has been. We normally call them as management by objective. Definitely a goal oriented performance appraisal method requires supervisors and employees determine objective of the employees to meet during the rating period. The employees appraises how well they have achieved the activities. Now this management by objective is being has a time duration in between. So at first of the meeting, you set up the goals and objective. After goals and objective have been mutually shared, discussed, and agreed upon, it might be the appraisal period that needs to be taken where performance has to be judged. It might be 90 days, 1 quarter, 180 days, 2 quarters, or 365 days annual. At the end of those set period, again we compare what was agreed upon and how we have fared. Both the supervisors and the managers and the subordinate will sit together and they will assign and they will agree whether they have achieved the goals, desired goals, or they have fall short or they have exceeded. So that management by objectives is all about it. So responsibility of appraisal, essentially to the immediate supervisors, definitely yes. Your boss actually evaluates you and on a day-to-day basis, and is the most common choice for evaluating performances. Subordinates, definitely. Nowadays, new age companies, even the juniors are evaluating the senior managers. It is feasible and they have equal right, understanding. If they have equal right and understanding, nothing wrong in it. Peers, that means your colleagues, your workmates who are at the same horizontal level, who believe the approach is reliable. There is a reasonable long period of time and performance that requires consideration extension. Now, then comes a self-appraisal, wherein everybody is given an opportunity to describe his or her strength or weaknesses and how they should be evaluated and to what extent their performances matters. Next is the customer appraisal. Customer appraisal is the end result. Why the organization is in existence? Because it wants to satisfy the needs and the wants of the customer. So customer remains the king. The behavior of the customer determines to a degree the degree of success a firm achieves. Therefore, many organizations believe it is important to obtain performance input from critical source. Now we'll come to the problems of performance appraisal. One of the major problems are lack of objectivity. A potential weakness of a traditional method of performance appraisal is lack of objectivity. There are no smart goals assigned to it. Such subjectivity should be removed altogether. Then comes a halo of error. Occurs when the evaluator perceives one factor as being a paramount important. So what is the halo effect? In which the rater actually either has been very lenient or has been very strict or has been actually very average and gave an overall good, bad or neutral ratings to its employees based upon these factors or understanding. Then we have the leniency or strictness. Probably you are assigning only high score or very low score, nothing in between. Central tendency is again the opposite of leniency or strictness, where the employees are incorrectly rated as average more or less for all the employees. Then there is something called recent behavior bias. Now, what recent behavior bias is, we as a human being are very emotional individuals, right? As an emotional individual or emotional beings, we always get swayed away by what exactly has happened a few days back, few weeks back, and based upon this, we ignore all the good things or the bad things that might have impacted in the previous year, previous appraisal duration. So therein, this biasness creeps up of the recency and you have been rated accordingly. Then there is something called personal biases. Now, every individual, every supervisor, every manager would have their own taste. They would have their own leniency, would have their own likings altogether. And I need to say it out. For example, they believe in certain religion, certain race, certain gender, certain disability, or in the particular demographic or age group you are looking into it, based upon his preferences or her preferences, or his liking or her disliking, you rate them. This biasness creeps in. And next would be manipulating the evaluation. In some instances, supervisor control virtually every aspect of the performances, and therefore in a position to manipulate the same thing. Since you have all the powers vested in you, you take advantage of it. With this, we come to end of this presentation. Thank you for watching my video.